What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Only Football. We are wrapping up. We got one more episode, and that'll be tomorrow. No, we got two more. I lied. Two more episodes, and then we're rolling into August. Preseason begins. Um, we did have some headlines to go over on Monday, but then on Tuesday we got some more headlines. So to start with the obvious, Saquon Barkley gets paid. And kind of, right? Saquon Barkley signs a 1-year deal. And really, when you look at the deal, I was actually watching a short, and it was a skit, and it was showing two pieces of paper, and one they both like said the same number, but one of them said franchise tag and the other one said new deal. And he's like, that's literally the same deal, you just wrote new deal on it. um and in a way, it's not a great contract, but it's you could make an argument, a strong argument, that it's the best scenario for Saquon Barkley right now. Sitting out for an entire year, right? He's going to lose money if he does that. Um, you could make a logical reason to believe Saquon Barkley's value. I don't know if it would diminish. He's still a strong player. Le'Veon Bell was able to sign a big contract because he was, balling in Pittsburgh. And I think it would be something similar. There would be a team that would go in on him, but I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. And it's just one of those where Saquon did the best thing for him. There's $900,000 in incentives, and I want to see if I can pull that up right here. But make no mistake about it, this is a temporary fix. There's no way that Saquon Barkley is actually happy about this deal. But this is what the Giants, I guess, were able to pull off. I really thought, if he was saying no to the franchise tag and he's really digging his heels in on that, I did I almost find it a little surprising that he looked at it and decided, you know what? All right, I'll sign it. I bet the Giants themselves were like, holy shit, we didn't think he was actually going to sign this, but here he goes. And speaking of here goes Bill in the chat. What's going on, Bill? He said ish, because I said new deal kinda ish. The deal does suck. This is a Giants fan. Um, Probably nobody that is on this channel wants Saquon Barkley, to get that contract more than Bill. So, you can oh, let me turn my audio down a little bit. It popped there. I'm getting some feedback. He said, "You saw the Benchwarmer brand skit. It was 100% right." And they gave him 12 million. If they gave him 12 million, they would have signed it. Your camp starts in 2 days. I will be watching. And the Broncos actually started their training camp 2 days early. So training camp started today. I didn't even know that was allowed. I thought the NFL releases the dates that you're going to be in training camp. I, I, I don't know, right? All I know is that all of my sources for the Broncos were there today at the facility. As per usual, we have no information. We did get one just big, huge good news today, and that is that Javonte Williams was not listed on the physically unable to perform list just 9 months after having an accident that very similar. There were doctors coming on and talking about that unique injury that Javonte Williams had. Um, And it's really one of those where you watch the plays and it's just kind of weird. It's like there's really no, it wasn't like when Joe Theismann, broke his leg. It was like it looked like a non-contact injury almost, and it was, one of those where when he went off the field, I was like, "Man, sometimes it's those ones that are just really bad." Um, because it's like if it didn't look serious, visually, then, because football players are tough, then, it's like he probably popped or pulled something. You hope that, it's a tweak or maybe the player's just being cautious and sitting down, but you can read body language and you can see when they're in that kind of pain. We knew Javante was messed up. And the doctors came out right away and were like, "Yep, out for the season. It's going to require surgery." And then Bronco fans thought, "Okay, so this is just a regular MCL." And there's a technical term, and then we found out, no, this is not a regular MCL. So to think that Javante Williams is going to, come back by the beginning of next season may not be, that's wishful thinking. We were told this by doctors because this specific injury, some running backs never even get back to where they were. Now, Javante hasn't played, so there's no reason to, jump on, the hype train. Like, we have no idea. We haven't visually seen Javante cut, test that knee, take hits, get tackled, and I do expect him to be on a pitch count. But the fact that training camp started and Javante Williams is a full participant is is a it's a medical miracle, and it's maybe an overestimate. Maybe I can use a smaller word, but from what I'm hearing, he has, been very, very dedicated to his rehab, and it shows. It shows. And I hope that translates to how hungry he is when he gets the ball on the field. And really excited to see Javante. So, um, the other thing, though, about Saquon Barkley, um, because I did see this, where is it? Yeah, the bench warmer brand skit. He said Saquon Barkley also in his incentives relies on them to make the playoffs, which is a team, that is I mean, if you play really well, your team, may have a chance to make the playoffs, but really to take that stance is just kind of BS. It's like, you know, it's just okay. Josh Jacobs led the NFL last year in rushing. Where the Raiders weren't a playoff team last year. But that does not mean that Josh Jacobs, wasn't the best running back last year in the NFL. So it does bother me a little bit because it's very convenient for a GM or an owner to say, hey, if you play well, statistically, we win 80% of our games. So basically, we're just saying that if we play well, or if you play well, that we'll win most of our games and we'll be in the playoffs. You'll get the incentive. It's like it doesn't work like that. Saquon Barkley could have a tremendous season, and the Giants could potentially miss the playoffs. I hope it doesn't happen, but that is not an individual. Making the playoffs is a team effort. So I thought when I heard that, and it was funny, but I was serious. I was like, man, that's kind of, I don't like that at all. And then, yeah, and this is the other one. Not only make the playoffs, but have career high season. It's bullshit. I just got to say it. Yeah. And that was in that skit as well. I think he said something he hasn't done since 2018. And it's like, okay, well, even if he does all that, he's going to be in the same situation next year, you know? And if you're dangling the carrot, the carrot can't be $900,000. Like if you're gonna dangle a carrot in front of somebody's face like that, at least make it worth their while. It's almost like a slap in the face. A $900,000 carrot, and all he has to do is break all of his records and take the Giants into the playoffs on his back. And if he can do that, if he can solely carry the Giants to the playoffs, we will give you $900,000 more than the franchise tag. I don't know, man. It's getting to like highway robbery out here, and I want to see also, because I believe there is a bonus AFC conference champions bonus. I believe there's Super Bowl bonuses and AFC. So players get $69,000 for playing the conference finals. Once the playoffs start, the NFL rules and conventions of the regular season end and a new tournament commences. It's not uncommon to see upsets during the postseason, and there's a big reason to play for it. Players are incentivized to play more games. The further the team goes without being eliminated, the more money players make. As soon as the postseason begins, individual contracts go out the window and player salaries are transformed. Every player on the 53-man roster, inactive list or on IR, when a wild card or division playoff game is held, will receive an amount devised by the league. So you get money for wild card, division, conference. I think the winner of the Super Bowl, I think it was like $200,000. Conference championship is $69,000 if they're under contract but can't make the AFC conference game because of an injury. Veteran players will also take home the entirety of the money for veteran players. So, why am I talking about this? Because you're saying that you're going to give them $90,000, but the NFL, not the Giants, this money comes from the NFL. The NFL's all, it's basically, it does this every year. You know, this is, this is not even something, this is not even a real carrot. It's just, it blows my mind. You get that money regardless. If you take your team to the playoffs, the NFL pays you. So it's not even unique. But I didn't mean to piss Bill off. He goes, when you got me talking crap about the Giants, I'm heated. And I would be too, man, because, like, yes, we don't know these people on a personal level, but I know what it's like to draft a player. It's different. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's a few exceptions. Champ Bailey wasn't drafted to Denver, but he's, if you say name me 5 great Broncos, he comes to mind. And but there is something different about drafting your player. I remember where I was in Jacksonville, Florida at the St. John's Town Center, which is an outdoor mall where actually this was 2000 and yeah, so 5 years before I would actually get my jaw broken at this same outdoor mall for talking shit to someone. But I remember Von Miller being drafted. I remember there was a huge draft party. I remember Mark Brunell showed up because this is in Jacksonville, and Mark Brunell still lives in Jacksonville. Because if you're Mark Brunell, right, the NFL might not think. I doubt Mark Brunell is getting invited to all of the gold jacket functions. But if you're Mark Brunell in Jacksonville, you're Tom Brady, baby. You're the bee's knees. You're the cat's pajamas. You're awesome. It's like Dan Marino in Miami or Rick Ross. But yeah, I mean, I remember it was, I believe, fourth overall. It might have been third. And Von Miller, Texas A&M, and to watch him be a young player and then develop, and then in his second year we bring in DeMarcus Ware and watch DeMarcus Ware teach him how to be a leader, and then Von Miller. I watched somebody grow up while I grew up. That that player, that I understand that Saquon Barkley, he was drafted as a New York Giant. And not only was he was drafted high like Von Miller. I think he was the third overall pick out of Penn State, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and if when you invest that kind of a pick into a player, especially one of the most electric players in your draft class. I know Von Miller was, he was there was no one like him in that draft class in 2010. And I think Tim Tebow was his quarterback when he was a rookie. But Saquon Barkley, there was no one like him in his draft, right? So you care more is what I'm trying to say. It's not a big deal. It is a huge deal to pay your players that your fan base closely like you got to feel the temperature of your fan base. That is what a good owner does. Now we've been talking about those white helmets Denver just got. And you know what everyone really loves about those helmets? It transcends anything that has to do with the color scheme or liking the uniforms. It's that the Greg Penner ownership group, they came into office, they gave out emails to all the season ticket holders. They asked them, "What do you think the team needs?" A lot of people wanted new uniforms. That's what the majority of Broncos country said. And they did it. They're working on, an entire new uniform. But it just shows that they're listening. They're feeling the temperature of Broncos country. And part of that is knowing which one or two players are on your team that has become, the way people thought about Brett Favre in Green Bay was like, it was literally like, I will die for him. Like, that is my brother. I don't know him, but I know him. And usually your team only has one or two of these. The Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. Believe it or not, everybody else is for sale. You got to know who your non-expendables are, right? That's what makes the Chiefs such a good run football team, is that they will let Tyreek Hill go. They will let people go, but they don't make mistakes when it comes to paying the right people. And I don't want to go back into that, but Bill said, "I'm going to start following more Bronco fans so I can talk about your team with you, not just my team." Second overall by the G-Men. And I left that one up there for a while, but I hope you do. I think you'll love it. Broncos Twitter is fun. And he said he's already made $38 million because of his draft position. I love the new white helmets. And it is different. I mean, when you get to the end of the career, like we sent Von Miller over to LA to play with, the Rams and win a Super Bowl, and that worked out for him. But even at that point, Von Miller's been with the team for, I don't even know, 13, 14 years at that point. Drafted in 2010 to 22, so 12 years. That is when, okay, like we're making a business decision. Saquon Barkley's in his prime. So, he's not he's not at that point in his career where, you know, I think you could comfortably sign him on a 4-year contract right now. And I think for the next 4 years, you would get a top 3 running back in the NFL. And I guess that's what bothers me about the contract the most. Because when it came to Lamar getting paid, I was like, I mean, he wants to be paid like the highest, he wants to be paid like the best quarterback in the league, and he's not. And his best year is in 2018 when he won MVP. And by the way, he won that MVP by putting together basically half of the season that Jalen Hurts just put together. And that guy didn't win MVP. And that guy took his team to the Super Bowl. So I just didn't see the justification in that. But with Saquon Barkley, there's no way that I think like a real knowledgeable football person could sit down and tell you Saquon Barkley's not going to be able to perform for 4 more years. He will be good for 4 more years. Guarantee it. Injuries happen. Like, you still want to put the best players on the field, and you want the best players in the NFL to be on your team. And this one I think really does piss me off. But hopefully I'm telling you right now, if Saquon Barkley does what he has to do to get his $900,000 tiny dangling carrot that is basically just an insult, if they put him back in the same situation next year, I'm going to lose my mind, because they are basically saying, if you just do one more year, then we'll do that, right? And we saw them do that with Josh Jacobs last year. It's like, hey man, we declined your 5th-year option, but if you perform, we'll give you a contract. And then he leads the NFL, and then they're like, franchise tag. I mean, at some point, it's insulting. It gets to a point where it's like, you're disrespecting me. This is beyond, this is a business. You're not, you're not, I don't know. You just can't do that to people. It doesn't seem ethical. So, we better not be in this situation. I hope Barkley balls out. I hope he does have his best season this year, and I hope he gets rewarded for it. Now, speaking of players getting rewarded, this was a story I was really, really excited about, because, as you guys know, I got love for Green Bay. I got love for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers has one of the worst reputations because he's portrayed so poorly in the media. But I've noticed outside of the internet, people, I run into people all the time that like him. It just seems like the internet sometimes just brings out the worst in people. But the narrative has been that he's a diva. And in some ways, he might be, but who cares? We don't, care when other people do it. But divas don't take pay cuts. And Aaron Rodgers has done something, and I'm not going to just, Aaron Rodgers, hey, get off your knees, dude. No, it's not like that, because I do have some, I don't know, critique. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers has clearly changed who he is. He had last offseason, right? He wasn't going to commit to Green Bay, and then, okay, I'm going to play. But then, Watson and Romeo Dobbs and all these people were out of chemistry. And, the first week against the Vikings, Aaron throws a bomb, and it went right through. I don't know if it was Watson or Dobbs, but it went right through his hands. And, there was after that, it was like, okay, I can't trust you. And then they were asking Rodgers all the time, like, because then they got mad at Rodgers for saying, you have to play well on the field if you want to get game time. It was this whole drama. It seems so stupid, kind of, that, well, it's just forgettable at this point in the year. We're looking on to next year, but this was a chapter of the Green Bay Packers last season in the beginning. And now you see him going to the Jets, and you see him hanging out with his teammates. You see him going to the games together. You see him practicing all the plays with the players, and teaching, and all the other interviews with the Jets players have been like, oh, he's like another coach. You're seeing this other side of Aaron. It's almost like everything that he wants to be remembered, for the way he is now, not the way he was. That's how it seems a little bit. And I can really, really respect that. I can. I don't care that people have flaws, but when people can admit those flaws and change who they are, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Aaron Rodgers is on his 18th season. That is very old for somebody to be learning. Maybe I'll try something new. Usually people are the same at that age. Brady didn't change. He was always a great, but Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers is doing something different than the other old quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is reinventing Aaron Rodgers. He's changing the way people are going to feel about him, and I think that is part of preparation for retirement. And another part of that is being, paid $50 million. He was the highest paid player before all these contracts came out. And you look now, and this is what we see. This was at 5:48 p.m. Today, actually yesterday, as of right now, because it's midnight. But this is what it says. Another box has been checked in the Aaron Rodgers era in Gotham. Rodgers has agreed to a new 2-year, $75 million guarantee contract through the 2024 season. Still a shit ton of money. And NFL insider Tom Pelissero reported per NFL salary data Wednesday afternoon, Rodgers is taking a pay cut of roughly $35 million. Yikes. As his previous deal had nearly 110 million guaranteed remaining. So this is really, really cool. Now let's be the gossip people. We're gonna be the media, the mainstream media for a second. I find it a little interesting that Aaron Rodgers is taking a pay cut as a Jet, but was charging the Packers the whole thing. I do think, in a way, if the Packers could have had a deal like that with Rodgers, maybe they would have been able to bring in more talent. I don't know, but I do find it weird that Aaron Rodgers goes to New York and he's just like, you know what? I don't need the Packers contract. Remember, the Packers are on the hook for Aaron Rodgers' contract this year. So maybe he negotiated it down to help the Packers a little bit. I have no idea. What I do know is that Rodgers seems to be getting treated the way he wanted to be treated. He seems to be getting the the respect of the other players. Not that he didn't have that in Green Bay, but you see Nathaniel Hackett, he can say at any point in the game, like, I want to do this play, and they listen to him. And when he thought about retiring, that was a big part of his, Green Bay experience, was that players play, coaches coach. But I think as a player, you get to a point where you want to be, having input and talking to the coaches and deciding what players should stay in the team, and starting to wear, two different hats. Some people prematurely try to do that and they look like Russell Wilson with an office, right? But there are those other quarterbacks that have earned not an office. That's dumb, but they've earned, that respect where they could walk into their head coach's office and say, "Hey, I want to run this. I think that we should keep this guy. I'm seeing this." Whether he does it or not, so be it. But he's listening to what I have to say and he really considers it. He really thinks about it. He doesn't just, "Oh, okay, thanks, Aaron." Right? That genuineness. I really think he's getting a lot of those needs filled in New York, and it goes both ways. Because Rodgers has changed his ways too. It just seems very healthy to me. So I think it's cool that he renegotiated. I mean, you do probably get to a point where enough is enough money. How much is, how many more millions do you need before you have more money than you can spend? Because Rodgers has made a lot. He's probably made the most money out of any active player in the NFL right now. So and the Packers are better off moving on. It's time. And it is time for Jordan Love to step into the new. And I'm really happy that it ended so well for both people. We did hear that Rodgers had reached out to Jordan Love. This came from Jordan Love at practice. And Jordan Love said, I don't have the exact quote here, but he said something along the lines of, he told me, "Don't be Aaron, like just be Jordan Love." And Jordan Love went on to say that that's what all the, other players on the team have been saying to him as well. Um, and I just love that, he reached out. He doesn't have to reach out to your successor, and that's another thing that people with giant egos don't do, right? I just Yes, he's changed a little bit. He has, but I just don't think he was ever who the media thought he was to begin with. Um, so glad to be able to share that headline. Always happy to bring some justice on people's names. Top 10 quarterbacks entering the 2023 season. Um, I I thought this was an interesting list because number one on the list is Sauce Gardner, and he was the reigning defensive rookie of the year last year, but still, he was a rookie, and I think he is going to have a um, I don't want to say a down season, but he's going to pull back because if you watch Sauce Gardner and the way he plays, he is very aggressive. He's very handsy, and I think his style is unique enough where refs just needed to get more tape on him, and they're going to start calling those. I personally saw him probably 10 times last season just throw people around while the ball's in the air. And for some reason, it just did not get called. I mean, he was like the luckiest son of a gun in the NFL last year when it came to penalties. Um, with that said, he did have an amazing, amazing rookie season. He allowed the lowest passer rating in coverage, 53.9, and he had the fewest receptions, 34, and second fewest receiving yards, 361 among all defenders targeted at least 70 times. Now, also keep in mind the Jets front four, one of the best in the league. Their front four was so good that they were able to bring pressure onto the quarterback without blitzing. So they would just send their front four and the quarterback would feel like he was being blitzed. That makes a huge difference on, your cornerback performances, right? When the Broncos had Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware and Malik Jackson, um, it's not a coincidence that we had the no-fly zone the same year with Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib. Not a coincidence at all. Good pass rush units that really get after the quarterback, complements the secondary. It they need it just as bad. Even the safeties get more picks. Look at if I look at Justin Simmons' picks, I think he's got the most picks as a safety since coming into the league. But if I watched a highlight reel of all of them, I would say half of them have one thing in common. The quarterback is about to get sacked. He's just throwing it away to avoid pressure, whatever. It makes a big difference. So I do think um, with the penalties, Sauce Gardner comes down, not far, but maybe from the NFL seeing him as a number one to like a number three, somewhere around there. Because I expect Jalen Ramsey to have a really big year. I think he was mentally checked out last year. I expect him to play very good football this year. Um, but I gotta go with my boy Patrick Surtain. He's been in longer than Sauce Gardner. They have Patrick Surtain here ranked at number two. Uh, I don't know. I don't know why. Surtain is, in my opinion, I guess, I'm a homer. I'm such a homer, but I really do believe Patrick Surtain's the best corner in the league. He is, when you watch him on tape, he is so exciting. He's my favorite player to watch on defense. My eyes are locked on number two because I love and watching him cover, Devontae Adams twice a year in space, just me and you in the red zone. It was a thing of beauty. Now he did give up like one big play in overtime, and I really think that's why he's not at number 1. But Denver was not getting after the quarterback last year at all. Um, they just weren't getting that much pressure, but they were playing so good in the secondary. The corner, Patrick Surtain was playing really good. Um, and then, we had Justin Simmons. He did miss a couple games, but I do think that this year, hopefully, Denver's able to get a better pass rush with Randy Gregory being healthy and um the new players coming in. We got Drew Sanders, who's a really fast linebacker that's supposed to be good at covering the running backs because Denver was giving up so many just 7-yard dump offs to the running back. Drew Sanders was drafted for that position. But they got Marshawn Lattimore at number 3 for the New Orleans Saints. Xavier Howard for the Miami Dolphins at number 4. Denzel Ward at 5. Uh, Jair Alexander, excuse me, Alexander. And Jalen Ramsey at number 7. He's coming back. I don't think he's going quiet into the good night. Marlon Humphrey at number 8. Stephon Gilmore at number 9. And Charvarius Ward for the 49ers. So do the Giants have a corner that could potentially join the top 10 conversation? And Bill said, just Googled it. Rodgers' net worth is $200 million. Damn. We got Meode Wellness Center in here. What is going on? Meode, I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, that's a lot. Mahomes is 50 mil, so it shows his time in. And then Bill says about the Surtain stuff, recency bias sauce is the new hotness, but Surtain is legit. And in all reality, these ones and twos in any position, are usually interchangeable. It's like you can have Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. And, I'd probably go with Justin Jefferson, but no one's going to be mad about Jamar Chase. But, if you're a Bengals fan, you're damn right that Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the league. It's just the way it goes. The NFL, and we did this last year, but it does its top 100 players of 2023. Now, last year, I made a prediction with Rick. This was one of our first episodes, And the point I tried to make was I believed that Patrick Surtain would be the biggest jump of any player in the NFL on this list. It might be, um, I guess it wouldn't matter because Surtain wasn't even on the top 100 last year. I literally, he had such an amazing rookie season. It was fantastic. I think he might even been up for, an award for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I went through the top 100 list because you got to go in sections. It's like they'll release 99 through 90 and then 80 through 70 and 70 to 60. And they do it, I think, like every week until they reveal the top 10. And that's, I think, when kickoff week 1 starts. So I went through it, all 10 pages, like literally like 15 times. I was like, I have to be missing it. There's no way he's not on the top 100. He wasn't on there. And I'm really excited to see which players that I think are going to be snubbed this year. Bill said, not really. Flott is a flyer. Xavier is a good slot. Adore is our best, but we did draft Deontay Banks. And that name sounds, because he was there last year. We'll see if one of these guys can, develop. I actually believe that having at least one shutdown corner makes a world of a difference. If you can get one, and they're not as rare as they were once, right? I mean, you see how pro ready they're coming out. Surtain and Gardner, all these guys are, ahead of Jalen Ramsey. But back in the day, there was only a handful. You had your Ty Laws and your Champ Baileys and your Rodney Barber. But it just seems like we're getting a lot of them. So get your hands on one. You all got to go shopping for a top 10 corner next offseason. So this is the top 100 players of 2023. This is number 80 through 71. I didn't even know they released it 80 to 100. I wonder if they're top 100 players of 2000. Okay, here we go. 100 to 91. Really? I have to check my date on this. Are you kidding me? This was published 4 days ago. The NFL is doing it different. It might have been every day. So it looks like every day they're going to give you 10 more. I could have swore last year it was like 1 week at a time. This really, really is driving me crazy. July 24th, 2023, Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for the Jaguars, the guy that is one of my prime candidates for MVP, him, Jalen Hurts. 96. What? 96? I don't know. I would have thrown him probably, honestly, like at least 60s, right? At least the 60s. I mean, man. Okay. Damn, there must be a lot, like, there must be a lot of talent in the NFL right now. Just think about that. The fact that, a starting quarterback for a team that made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game and almost beat the Chiefs is rested at 96. 100 is Devontae Smith. And this is when I saw the list and I saw Devontae Smith and I said, damn, maybe there's just a lot of really good players right now. But I always felt like we always rank quarterbacks higher than other positions anyway. So to see Trevor Lawrence at number 96, just kind of weird. Number 99, DeMarcus Lawrence. Number 98, Tristan Wirfs. offensive tackle for Tampa. He has now secured a spot in the top 100 for 3 consecutive seasons. He's a rising star. Number 97, Harrison Smith, and that is the safety blanket for the Vikings defense. He's been really reliable. He's in his 11th season and still playing good enough ball to be in the top 100. And then here it is, 96, Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence's play from his rookie year to his second season took a massive leap. And maybe it's just one of those things where I'm 1 year ahead. This happens to me sometimes. Like I said, I think Jacksonville is going to probably be the first seed in the AFC due to strength of schedule. And when that happens, Trevor Lawrence will be an MVP candidate. And then when that happens, you will see Trevor Lawrence go from 96 to 10, something crazy like that. So I think I got my guy for the biggest jump next year. Number 95, Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams who leaded the NFL in, I believe, 17 rushing touchdowns. And Bill, agreeing with me, says the disrespect for Trevor. Hell, even I like him. I do too. He went to Waffle House after coming back from down 27 at home at a playoff game, won the game, and went to Waffle House. Enough said. Terry McLaurin, 94. Scary Terry. It's a good receiver. Eric Kendricks at 93. Marlon Humphrey, 92. He did not make the top 100 in 2022. So now they got Marcus Peters back there too. So it's going to be Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. Should be a good little secondary. Dalvin Cook at 91. What? 91? He was at 60 last year. How do you drop 31 spots? You're telling me Dalvin Cook was 9 spots away from not cracking your top 100. Dalvin frickin' Cook? You guys literally are high. Whoever is making this list. The Trevor Lawrence at 96, I was already like, this is dumb. But Dalvin Cook at 91, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. I'm just moving on. So, okay, so that was 90. So now we got to do 90 through 81. And it starts off with DeAndre Hopkins at 90. And I could understand putting DeAndre Hopkins at 53, maybe, because he hasn't had a good team, because his quarterbacks, because he was literally a part of a train wreck of a team last year, and he was suspended for 6 games. That does not mean that DeAndre Hopkins is worse. It's like it's all about hype. And I just, hype is real. It's something that you can measure. Sauce Gardner, a lot of hype. Yeah, he's really good. Hype is not, useless. It can be useful, but when you start downgrading things that don't have hype, it actually ends up being more of a burden than a good thing. DeAndre Hopkins is still DeAndre Hopkins. He is not, I think he's 31 years old. He's still got ball left in him. If anything, him missing, the 6 games last year, less tread on the tire. I don't know how you put DeAndre Hopkins at 90. I mean, you're talking about the best hands, maybe Odell Beckham, but you're talking about him and Devontae Adams. Like, Devontae Adams, that's another thing. Devontae Adams was a 99 in Madden last year. 99. And now you got all these new, younger rookie wide receivers, and Madden makes Devontae Adams a 98. And he had I think statistically he had one of his best seasons. He had a better season than he had last year. The year he was a 99. They bumped him down. It's like, why? Because the Raiders aren't good? I just don't get it. We're judging players. DeAndre Hopkins belongs shot way up the board. Number 90 is disrespectful for sure. Marshawn Lattimore, 89, who the NFL top 10 cover corners, he was actually on that. Aiden Hutchinson at number 88. Good old Aiden Hutchinson. That's a lot of love for Aiden Hutchinson. He was good as a rookie. He had 9.5 sacks. He was, I guess at this point you could say he was everything that was advertised, but no one's really going to believe that unless Aiden Hutchinson moves his way to the top 25, right? When you draft somebody number 2 overall, number 88's not gonna be good enough. But that's really good for a person going into his first year after his rookie season. Number 86. Oh my God. Y'all are about to make me. Who made this? Number 86, Justin Fields. I'm a Justin Fields fan. I like him. But Trevor Lawrence took his team to the playoffs and an end of the season stretch that resulted in, I think, the Jaguars going like 7-2 or something like that and winning shootouts. Justin Fields had the Bears, with all due respect to everything he did running the football. By the end of the season, Justin Fields' Bears were the worst team in the NFL and had the number 1 overall pick. That was like Trevor Lawrence's rookie year with the stinky finger. Remember Urban Meyer? Remember Jacksonville had the first overall again because they did so bad Urban Meyer year that we were like, let's just throw that away. Let's not even use that as a even though we saw flashes of Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence didn't make the top 100 last year. Now, I understand Justin Fields running the ball. He did some very special things, but there's no way that Justin Fields is a better quarterback right now than Trevor Lawrence. There's absolutely nobody that could convince me that. Nobody. And even Bill, they got Fields over Lawrence only reinforces my point. It is wild out here, folks. After Justin Fields, it goes to Laramie Tunsil, who's the offensive tackle for Houston. Love his story. That he's the player that is actually he's on the staff and he paid himself. I forgot, but it's cool. Zadarius Smith. Okay. I think I know he's good, but top 100, there's only so many spots. Tua Tagovailoa at 82. I can understand. Tua had the best offense when he played, so. And then his teammate Christian Wilkins right after at number 81. And then we roll into what was released today. Number 80 through 71. Ideally, the players will continue to get better. And if they don't, that's when we have to stop the podcast and talk about it, like that Justin Fields spot. So here we are at number 80, Mark Andrews, tight end. Number 79, Dre Greenlaw, linebacker, San Francisco. Dude, you can put San Francisco's whole defense from 80 to 70, and I won't even question it. Besides Nick Bosa, he needs to be ranked higher or lower. Geno Smith, number 77. Ooh. Now this is where's Jared Goff? I'm gonna reserve my feelings about Geno Smith being at 77 until I know where Jared Goff is. Because who is writing these? I think the players vote on it. If I'm not mistaken, here it is. Voted on by the players themselves is an underway on. Okay. So the NFL players are the ones voting. Um, dude, that must take so long. How do they even do they just have a list of like, do they just like go home and smoke a bowl and try to figure out, the order? Like that seems like a really hard thing to get every player to participate in. And number 76, you got the cornerback for Seattle, Tarek Woolen. Woolen made a name for himself as a rookie with an NFL leading 6 interceptions. Jeez, and to think that they just added Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, the best corner in the draft and the best wide receiver in the draft. Dude, there's a lot of talent on that team right now. A lot. Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, number 75 from Cincinnati Bengals, made his appearance in the family home against the Ravens in the playoffs when he took that ball when the Ravens were trying to sneak it, and he took it 99 yards for a touchdown. That was the birth of Trey Hendrickson, and I think that's why you see him so high here. 75. Garrett Wilson, 74. I don't know, man. See, that's another one. I mean, if you are able to have an 1,100-yard receiving year and win Offensive Rookie of the Year with Zach Wilson and a Canadian football quarterback, no disrespect to Canadian football, but seriously, Garrett Wilson might be like, he might be something. We're going to have to just see what Aaron Rodgers and what comes out of that. Buda Baker at number 73, Arizona Cardinals safety, powerful force to be reckoned with. Buda Baker, I think he should be definitely lower on this list. This is Buda Baker's one of the best safeties, if not the best safety. Him and Derwin James are probably, and Kyle Hamilton, who's in his second year. The Ravens stole him out of Notre Dame. But Buda Baker is too high. Lamar Jackson coming right after Buda Baker. And then DeForest Buckner. So that is 80 through 71. So I guess since it seems that we are getting it every day, tomorrow we will be getting 70 to 60 or 70 to 61. Man, it's so funny how these players I wonder how many of them vote on themselves. I wonder if because I know even in my jobs I've taken online surveys where you can vote for yourself and then just log back in and vote for yourself and do it, 100 times. I wonder if there's any players that are doing that. And tomorrow is going to be a really, really fun episode because tomorrow I'm going to be going live with Bert or Burger. I'm not sure which one. I think you might remember the podcast we did with Bert and Burger, the Lions Raiders fan. Well, we're going to be doing something fun tomorrow. It's kind of in a way it's related to what we just did. It does have to do with evaluating players. I don't want to give any more away because I think it's going to be the most fun maybe we've had in a while on this channel. But we do have a set time for that because it is involving two people on two different sides of the United States. And that time is, I believe it's 2 p.m. I'm going to be tweeting it, the official time right when I get done with this. I just need to look back at my email. And if you want to know where to see that tweet, you can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST, Football Only Podcast. And you can follow my partner at And Now Rick, ANDNOWRICK. We are all excited to have Rick back on Only Football and super pumped for the new season. We got stuff to talk about. The titles are back. The storylines are back. The training camp is in. And we'll see if anything happens this week regarding any of those running backs that haven't been able to get anything done. Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook. I'm just waiting for the random day that's like, Dalvin Cook is a Texan. I don't think it's going to be a Texan. I think if the Jets were smart, they would just go after him. Just load up. I mean, it's Super Bowl or bust. So you might as well just commit. Just Sean McVay that shit. All right, guys. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And until then, go Broncos and have a good night. See ya.